Hello guys, it is I back again, and today we are watching the video If You Were Tossed into the Fate Worlds, and and I will keep repeating this in every video until it's no longer applicable, obviously. If you can, please think about subscribing and joining me for future live streams of me playing the Fate Samurai Remnant game. And if you want to catch up to where I currently am, because the next part will be part 6, if you want to catch up, there is a whole playlist on my channel. Go to my channel, you'll find it. It's very easy to find. Fate Samurai Remnant, Let's Play, all that good stuff. Anyway, as I said, this is the video If You Were Tossed in the Fate Worlds. And before I get into this, before I get into the video, this is a great video, or at least clearly from the title. I haven't seen the video yet. That's the whole point of these reactions. But just from the title, I can clearly tell that this is a great thing to say, where one of the long projects I'm working on, and I have ADHD and autism, full disclosure, so it's not going to be done at all soon. But one of the long projects I'm working on is a Fate fan fiction. I know, cringe, but whatever. Is a Fate fan fiction where I am tossed into the Fate worlds, where at least there's a character based on me, not my name. There's a character named Dorian who participates in a American Holy Grail War. And so I'm already on the same page of, like, what would I do if I was in the Fate worlds. I don't know if that's where he's gonna go. What I can tell from this titles, I'm guessing it's probably going to be like some sort of isekai thing where it's like I literally just go from this world into the Fate worlds, versus my fan fiction, which is a character who was born and raised in the Fate worlds but has basically my personality, who's basically literally me, just born in the Fate worlds. But in either case, what I would do in the Fate worlds is very simple. Obviously, as soon as I can, I would participate in the Holy Grail Wars, because that kind of shit is super exciting. And if there's not a Holy Grail War going on, I would quickly make my own version, because I mean, go down the list. Go on the Fate wiki and just look at the increasingly long list of different versions of the Holy Grail War, and you can realize that it's hard, obviously, but it's not impossible for one to make their own version of the Holy Grail War if there's not one currently going on in your area. Like, you can just set one up, and then participate in Holy Grail War, and then at the end of it, get your chance to have your wish casted. But that's not mainly the main point. The main point for me would be, while the other Maguses would be fighting for their wish, that's like, the wish is more secondary to me. Do I have a wish? Yes, and that's why the Grail would have me participate. So I do have a wish, but more than that, my main goal would be to just hang out with cool historical or mythological characters that spew forth as heroic spirits through the Grail. So that would be my main goal. See, like, while the Maguses are like, I don't care about my servant; they're just a tool and a means to an end to get my wish. My whole thing would be, yeah, I do want my wish, but while we're getting there, I get to hang out with cool bros from history and mythology. So there's that. Um. So yeah. But let's get into this video. That's what everyone is actually here for, not me rambling.
So apparently, my own people are trying to set me up for failure. I should have known. We got the patron request from Puffy. He says, my request is this: throw yourself into the Nasuverse. What are you as a Magus? What branch of the association?
Okay, before he answers, I want to see if I can get into this. Okay, so that is the thing. Throw myself into the Nasuverse. What are you as a Magus? What branch of the association do you belong to? Well, in that case, I've already figured that out for Dorian. So For so for the answer to that is very simple. I would be, when it comes to the association, I would be clock tower. But as an American Magus, I would also belong to the American Maguses. But um, my real education would come from traveling overseas and going to clock tower and going to those classes. But more than likely, I'd probably just do general education. Uh, General education, puppetry, magecraft, and the study of the crystals, the crystals in figure and order. I forget their name real quick, but the was it like Saint crystals or something like that? But in either case, the crystals that you use to power up your servants and all of that, like I'd be into studying that because that's really cool. Plus, because they're literally crystallizations of the human soul. Plus, what you can do with them is nearly unlimited. Um, as well as the fact that by studying them, you can get into various other like side aspects of them. Like, for example, learning how Chaidalia does their transportation because it's powered through that. Not people think it's powered through the Grail, which part of it, but really mostly it's just powered by that stuff. So I would look into that. Plus, the benefit of doing that kind of stuff is that it's like a mixture of science and magic. So I can actually like use computers and like in advanced technology while the mages while the mages of Clock Tower fucking scoff at me, going, "How dare you use computers?" And go, "This is literally how this research is done." Anyway, because these crystals can power supercomputers. So yeah, that's dope. That's what I would do. Basically, just go for that. Well, while I'm in Clock Tower, the reason I say general education is because the fact that anything that doesn't go strictly for what I care about, I would basically just be like a, C student, basically. Like, if it doesn't if it doesn't strike up my interest or anything like that, I just don't care. Like, it's the same thing with like when I went to high school and stuff like that. It's just like I was a middle of the road C average, C plus average student because of the fact that nothing in high school I gave a shit about. So it's just like I just did enough for people not to be mad at me and for me to graduate, but that's it. So that's why for me I'm more likely would be in general education, which means that depending on the time frame that I get in, more than likely my teacher would probably be Waver Velvet. Uh, so I'll be one of his students because it's just like, yeah, just whatever. What magecraft do you specialize in? The magecraft that I would say that I would specialize in would be anything to do with acceleration manipulation because that stuff is super sweet. If people don't know, because the thing is, people don't respect what you can do with acceleration manipulation because people don't understand what acceleration is on a physical level. Like, if I were to ask you what acceleration is, like a general person, they would probably just say it's going from 0 to 60. It's a physical act of something going from 0 to 60. There's more to acceleration than that. Like acceleration is literally just anything changing velocity. Uh People don't realize this, but there is no there like in physics. If you're an actual physicist, there is no concept of slowing down. There's just a change in velocity. So even if you're driving a car and you go from 60 to 0, that is you are still actually accelerating. People don't realize this. You are accelerating if you go from 60 to 0. If you're slowing down, you are still accelerating because that is an actual change in velocity. The change in velocity is what acceleration is. And you may think, well, what can you do with that? Look up space debris and why it's so dangerous. Look up why something traveling super fast is super dangerous. Why in space you could be decapitated by a tiny shred of paint. A dried speck of paint going fast enough can actually decapitate you. a tiny speck of paint going fast enough can pierce the metallic hull of spacecraft, right? This is why NASA's number one fear when it comes to traveling in space is space debris. Because of the pull of the Earth, if you were to so much as drop a single tiny speck of paint and have it get pulled by the Earth and basically slingshotted by the Earth, that shred of paint going around the Earth enough times would gather enough speed, enough acceleration that it can pierce through every hole of a spacecraft. You could have a spacecraft that has 500 holes stacked on top of each other, and it would still not be enough to stop a speck of paint cutting a hole clean through all of them going fast enough. So acceleration manipulation is truly dangerous if you actually know what acceleration is on a physical level. And that's what acceleration manipulation would all be about. Would be the magical manipulation of the whole not psychic, but physical property of acceleration. Again, like I said, an acceleration is not just going faster; it's also going slower because, again, change in velocity. So imagine what you could do with that, right? For example, in order for the human body to work, we need to have our blood cells, for example, accelerating throughout our body, right? They need to travel through our body, through an active speed. Imagine if someone had full control of acceleration manipulation and could reduce the speed of your blood cells to absolute zero. Your blood cells cannot move and they clot in your body. Or your heartbeat. A heartbeat is a change of velocity. So someone with acceleration, aka velocity manipulation, could stop your heart, literally. It could stop the neurons in your brain from firing because that is a change of velocity. Anything at all in reality that has a change in velocity, aka acceleration, would be under the purview of someone who has acceleration magecraft, and therefore this would be a person who you may not think is powerful, because again, you would have a general understanding of acceleration and not really have an appreciation for what it can do until you realize just what they can do with that. Really, what they can do with that. About the fact that they could pick up a single tiny piece of sand, a single particle of sand, and if they accelerate it fast enough, that single particle of sand could travel so fast it could decapitate you in a single slice and keep moving. Imagine trying to block a single tiny piece of sand. You can't do it. Imagine trying to, and again, this can happen with anything. You may not see it, but as of right now, surrounding you watching this video, is skin cells. Imagine if someone had velocity manipulation, acceleration manipulation, and took those skin cells that you cannot see, they are invisible to the naked eye, and had them and changed their velocity so insanely high that those individual skin cells can cut clean through skin and bone. Imagine trying to block that during a magical duel between Maguses. Again, you can't. That's the point. This is where someone who is trained and studies acceleration manipulation magecraft would be insane to fight. because of the fact that people really, really do not have they do not at all respect what acceleration means on a physical level, like when it comes to physics. Like, people do not at all have a high enough respect, in my opinion, for what you could do with just the simple act of changing an object's velocity. So that's what I would study, because it's definitely something that no other magecraft would study in, because they would not at all have respect for it. And it's something that if you accelerate high enough, you could actually reach the root. It is definitely a doorway to reach the root, because again, no other because people have reached the root through speed for sure, but it's like more like people have reached the root, or at least gotten near enough to reaching the root, like through like time travel or something like that. Definitely not through pure acceleration. Pure acceleration is definitely not something that people have attempted. Like, people have not attempted to do the Flash method of being a speedster and literally accelerating themselves into the root, which is definitely something. So acceleration magecraft could definitely get you to the root if you pushed high enough, because if you used acceleration magecraft, again, it means that you could use magic to go to accelerate yourself faster than the speed of light, and therefore get into the realm of the root. So that's definitely something that one who studies acceleration magecraft could do. Though, of course, the destruction that would be left in your wake would be something you'd have to deal with, because you know what a sonic boom is? Yeah. Now, keep in mind, a sonic boom is just someone going faster than the speed of sound. Imagine what a sonic boom would be like the moment something attempts to even get close to the speed of light, and then of course surpass it. The sonic boom that they would leave in their wake would probably destroy the Earth. So that's why acceleration magecraft on the highest level of degrees would more than likely activate the counterforce, because that is definitely something that would threaten not only humanity but the Earth itself, Gaia. So we're like the counterforce, as well as Gaia's minions, would be more likely be activated by someone who ever gets close enough to accelerate themselves. That because again, a sonic boom where you're just going faster than the speed of sound is enough to destroy thick planes of windows of like buildings nearby. If a jet were to do a sonic boom near enough a building, they could destroy that building, if it's, depending on how strong the sonic boom is. A sonic boom of a object instantly accelerating itself from 0 to faster than the speed of light. Oh. That need not be said. What's the magic crest? Again, the magic crest, in my opinion, will be my family is full of spells related to acceleration manipulation, because again, that would be something that would be, again, super simple to think of. That acceleration as a concept has been known by humans for a long time, so they can be like, okay, well, what if we do this with magic? What hero experience from each class do you think you're compatible with? That would be a long list. Let's not get into that.
Do you belong to? What magecraft do you specialize in? What's the heroic spirit from each class that you think you'd be compatible with? And ultimately, he's asking, how would I operate in Fate itself? By the way, if you haven't already, make sure you guys sign up for the Patreon. We're getting busy. You get access to early content and priority on your requests. So there's a lot of things to get into here. The easiest way I can frame it is just to give the general roadmap. So I'll start off with the Magic Crest itself. I want to say For this topic specifically, I would come from a background of alchemy, so it would be a few generations of my family being alchemists, and then they pass that down to me. Now you guys know how alchemy can get. It can either go up or it can go down depending on the person that's using it. Me in particular, I kind of want to invest myself in my own studies and try to bring those things back to what my family has already given me, instead of just going straight forward with alchemy itself. So when I get to the clock tower, the main things I'm going to be studying is astromancy, because I think that's really cool. That's the branch that Wotame comes from, and I understand that I'm not going to have what he has, not even close. He has 9 generations of perfected magecraft in his crest, but I do think for what I plan to do, I think it's going to help me out in the long run and be a little more on the original side. And then the other 2 things are necromancy and summoning and possession. Both of those things being in the same department anyway, all of that spiritual evocation. So I wouldn't even have to reach far to study the both of those. Spend several years honing in on that. Then I would leave and I would go to the east and try my best to learn domination. Now domination is the magecraft of Boz. Essentially you're just channeling your inner madness into a spell. So I'd have to go out to do that, spend some years over there, and then finally, and this is something that he didn't mention, I think that I would end up at the church. I feel like that would be the best place for me to end up, especially considering how strict they are altogether. I would have no choice but to be one of the best combatants I can. So on top of the 3 things that I mentioned already, I would have the holy sacraments as well, different rites of the church, and even parts of their weaponry like black keys, for example. As a side project, and this goes back into me combining all of the arts, we know that Nero started off as an alchemist. That's the dead apostle ancestor that created his own reality marble and ended up merging himself with chaos, merging himself with the beast of the planet. I'm not gonna go to the wandering sea like him, but I do want to follow a similar format in the way that he brought things together. I don't want to say that I'll go as far as making myself into a dead apostle, but it is something that's on the table if I have to do so. I would prefer to stay in my normal state. In the same way that he merged with beasts, I want to find a way that I can merge with different spirits, and that way I can tap into their powers without having the continuous summoning, on top of me being able to have summons too. And when I say spirits, I don't mean like a demi-servant or something like a class card. I'm more so talking about merging with creatures than people. Mythological creatures, fairies, demons, the undead, things like that. And one thing that I do want to lock in on is creating a stand. I know it sounds crazy. I came to Fate to be a JoJo character. It's not necessarily a stand, it's more so of spiritual limbs. And this is just hoping that I enter mastery in my field to begin with. But if I can create spiritual limbs that are extremely powerful, so when I throw a punch, it's like a ghost of me throwing an extremely powerful attack. That way I can be something that poses as a threat, even if you're servant level, or if my servant just so happens to not be around me and I'm not just stuck here looking stupid because I don't have somebody to protect me. I should be more than fine with just the church training to begin with, but that's really gonna take it up several degrees, I feel like. And then as a side project just for me, I want to spend time to create certain technologies that I can use in the field that have nothing to do with magecraft at all. So again, that goes into just having these fail safes in case the magecraft doesn't work. So in the event that somebody does nullify my magecraft in general or one of my spells, I'll have that as a backup and I can just continue fighting that way. As far as the servants I'd be compatible with, considering the line that I chose, I'm looking more so at servants that are not heavily morality based, because that can cause some friction between us as master and servant. So I don't want anybody that's gonna try to oppose me on an ideal level, because I am looking at this as a magus of practicality, not Kiritsugu level of practicality. I'm not an assassin. Well, I guess the church would be worse anyway, but I am looking to get the most optimal results, and I know that's not not always going to be just. So for the saber, I got Salter. For the archer, I got Tristan. I really was more so thinking singularity Tristan. For the lancer, I got Enkidu. You know, Enkidu doesn't really care. That's not what he's here for. I got Ushi as my rider. Again, as a commander, she already knows how it goes. I got Merlin as my caster. You know Merlin wants the conflict anyway, so what I got going is gonna be right up his alley. I got Semiramis for the assassin, just because I like her as a character. She's cutthroat too, so she doesn't care on a morality level, and I really want to see how far we can scale with her hanging gardens. I got Raiko for berserker. I got Martha for my ruler. Surprise, surprise. Love Martha. And of course, anybody from the church is automatic because I went to the church, so that just makes perfect sense. For the Avenger, I got Edmund. As always, that's my dog. That's a win every time. For Moon Cancer, I got BB. For Alter Ego, I got the man himself, Rasputin, aka Kirei. I tried, guys, I really did. I tried not to pick him. Imagine a world where you could pick Kirei and you don't get him. Couldn't be me. For my foreigner, I'm gonna roll with Abby. And then for my pretender, you already know I gotta get Oberon. That's a dream team just waiting to happen. And he did say the main 13 classes, so this would exclude the Beast class and the Shielder, which doesn't really have anything in it to begin with. Main reason that I'm defecting the clock tower is because I really don't have any interest in playing all of the politics. I'll mess around and put somebody in a box, and then I'll go home and then have TNT in my mailbox, and that would just be bad for everybody. So instead of going that far, I would rather just leave and go somewhere where I know work is going to be done and all of the foolery can be set to the side. The only reason I would even keep contact is probably for the Mystic Eyes collection train, if I were to amass enough money to get my own Mystic Eyes that way. But considering I'm following the line of Nero Chaos, I'm more than likely going to have my own set by then regardless, so I probably won't even need it. Even though the ones I'm going to have is just base level, as long as I have a pair, I feel like that's decent in its own right. Anything else will really just be a bonus. Again, I do understand that Nero is 1,000 years old, so what I'm talking about is a long time in the making, but it's really just a framework more than anything. And for money, of course, I would just do odd jobs via the church. So just to give an idea, I would be like a lot of people really, but if I just had to narrow it down to 3, I would be like a combination between Bazette, Kyrie, who is Mordred's master, and Muram Solomon from the Burial Agency.
So yeah, you got to hear what he would do, and you got to hear a little bit of my ramblings of what I would do. So I think that's good. You guys have a great day, and I hope you guys join me for next time. Bye.